Nobody's into April, you know?
I feel like.
Are you good? Are we ready to go?
I feel like we can't be friends anymore.
Who can't? You and Sam?
No,
Already? What has Sam done to you?
I'm just kind of like over you.
You're over me?
Yeah.
For how long?
I don't know, like maybe the month of April.
Good. A month off. This is Byron Lazine and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 19 of The Real Word, which now features the Racket. We've got it before we get into our main topic of the show.
Are you breathing? Take a deep breath. Like, do
you want me to breathe?
You're doing like a run-on sentence.
Every sentence I ever don't I text with you? They're all run-ons.
Everything's a run-on.
And then I'll put like massive commas like in the first section.
Commas?
And then I back up the end of my sentence with more commas. Like I find there's like 6 or 7 commas.
No, you actually
in one sentence.
You break your text though up sometimes into like paragraphs.
You don't like that.
No,
that pisses people off.
No, it's fine. It's just like you're not writing. Are you writing like a thesis?
Or
are we
breaking
doing a
up my thoughts. Thought 1, understand it, break it down.
So can you just send thought 1 and then the next text?
You want multiple texts?
Well, I don't know.
All right.
Okay.
Because that annoys me. The 5 texts in a row.
Oh well. We're learning things about each other today here on The Real Word 19.
You're definitely a 5-texter. Let's go into, we did the Racket. We introduced it on episode 18. If you haven't seen 18, go back, watch that one first. Mm-hmm. The Racket is going to be the 3 topics at the end of our main topic of the day.
Right.
But what is a racket for people that are like been reaching out to you and like, what's a racket, Nicole?
So I guess I was a little confused too because
you came up with the word.
I know. Well, actually, maybe can we just give Nance a little bit of credit here?
If you want.
So my mom actually used the word a racket. We were on an airplane on a flight back from Arizona, and she used the word. She called the noise that there were squirrels in her attic, and she said they were causing a racket. We got a little chuckle out of it. Not more than like maybe 4 hours later.
It was within a half a day.
Yes, she texted again talking about her dentist wanting all of this money and that he was running a racket, and
overuse of the word.
But she's
using it all the time. Well, different forms. We gave her credit for that.
She has not since used the word racket since, but we are now we're.
Is she a common user of the word racket?
No, that's what was so funny.
She's never used it. And then she just throws it in the mix twice.
So we now have
2 different examples.
So right. So now that's how the Racket started here. So I guess again, because last time you asked me which I thought was the biggest racket.
Yeah.
And I actually voted for my favorite, which then I started thinking like maybe then that isn't a racket. If it's my favorite, it's my favorite. Maybe my least favorite is a racket because I just think it's bullshit, right?
I think anything can be a racket, which is why this word is so interesting. You can use it a number of different ways.
And we do.
Yeah.
We do. We say hi, and I'm like, good morning.
Since
you're
Nance,
a racket.
We're using racket. I'm mixing racket into like
everything.
Pitches.
No,
like, oh, well, that would be a racket if we
actually,
went and did print advertising, total racket.
Like maybe that should be a competition because I do feel like there's been times we've been on listing
How many times you can sneak it in?
And we say racket. I'd be like,
we've been on group text and we're trying to like sneak it in.
We do, and then we start giggling, and everyone else is like, "What's going on over there?"
You guys are pathetic.
It was sort of like last time in sunscreen. I still don't really know.
Anyways, it can literally be anything. So when we're talking about a racket, it could just be that, but
whatever's causing a buzz. Like today on Twitter, you were talking about a blue toilet seat was like trending. Dude, that's a real racket. I mean, just pull the really people.
Why are toilet seat covers trending on Twitter?
I don't know. They were. I mean, they're just as pissed off about the UConn game as I am. Clearly.
Oh, did you watch it? The women's?
It was a. I'm a UConn alum.
I know you're UConn alum. All right.
Anyway.
You're that upset?
So that's why we're trending blue toilet seats.
All right. Well, this is something that's not a racket. This is a serious issue. So I want to get serious and we can get back into the racket.
You're excited about this one.
Well, it's a serious issue in our country.
Super serious.
Like, no joke.
Trust me. I mean, my husband is, we're like in the hole because of student loan debt. So it's super important.
Student loan debt, maybe, if you've met me, you've probably, and we spent any length of time having discussions, I'm passionate about this subject. And we're referencing right now, we're going to link it up, CNBC article, and it says, these are the ways student loans stop people from buying a house. And it's great. They did a really good job,
I think it's a great topic to talk about, though, because I
think it's the core the problem. It goes much deeper than, okay, now you have debt and you can't buy a house because of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
The problem is kids are being pushed into a system that's not working anymore.
Absolutely.
And that's where my passion comes in the sense that, and I'm speaking at Hopkins this week, Hopkins High School. What was that?
I feel like I need to drink my coffee with my pinky up. That's a racket.
Why? Because Hopkins is a private school?
It's great. I mean,
it's a great school.
Yeah. I'm just a little jealous. You're talking.
Unbelievable.
I'm just sitting here.
Go back to like
racketing.
a previous episode,
jellyfish
episode. Look that one up.
There's just a. Should make earrings.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Every time I go to a high school and I talk, the first thing I say is, how many people, and at Hopkins it's going to be different, this is a private school, how many kids have either a full ride coming up, I'm totally assuming, but I'm assuming my assumptions are correct. How many kids have mommy and daddy paying for school or are going on a full ride for some reason? You should 100% go to college. Take the advantage, network your face off, meet people. I wish I went to college and just networked like with the same mindset that I have now. Wouldn't have worked out that way. I'm not
Because you were actually wanting to hang out with like the dean of like the math department, not necessarily.
No. When I was 18.
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying now you really you
now.
actually want to hang out with your
Hell
professor.
Yeah,
100%. Not the kid at the keg party.
100%.
Yeah.
I would, if I had this mind in college, 18, I'd be networking my face off. What would have happened is I would have been networking. Okay, how can I get 40, 50% of the draft beer income that's going through this party? That's where my mind would have been. Anyways, and so the kids that are taking out debt, not all of them, but a lot of them have that mindset, a loser mentality approach to college, thinking that the piece of paper that they're going to get out, and I'm really talking about business and marketing, like real estate, like specific to us, thinking that piece of paper is going to get you the job, like consistent work or whatever your aspirations are going to be. That's not going to happen.
No.
And so, and this is a business talk I'm giving on Wednesday. It's going to be really focused around those kids. If you're taking out debt to get into business, don't do it because it's going to hold you back. And I think, buying a house, certainly I would probably even, as a real estate agent, I'd probably even advise against that if you're a true entrepreneur, because you should be pushing everything in to your business, your time, your energy, your money.
Right. Everything
should go into it. So that's even debatable.
That's for another day. We'll talk about that another day.
Absolutely.
Another racket.
But I think this is a problem in the sense that, and people are wondering why. Oh, well, why are people having kids later? Well, why are people buying homes later? Well, why?
Right.
Why
where's the first-time home buyer? Like, why aren't they buying the actually, the condo market, I feel like right now is actually really
first-time
strong.
home buyer market's really, really good right now.
Yeah,
so it's finally like taking over.
But I guess the point is that they're older. Right?
Older. A lot of old ways of old school thinking would say, the age demographic right now should be buying their move-up house. They should be selling the starter house and buying the move-up house. They never really bought the starter. A lot of these first-time home buyers,
a lot of them are skipping.
Yeah.
Totally skipping, yep.
And I don't think that's a bad thing, honestly. But I think part of it is because they're waiting until they can pay down a large majority of the college debt because they can't afford the house they want.
Well, and in most situations, they have to.
Yeah.
Unless, I do know that there are a few exceptions. Like if you're a doctor, I know that mortgage companies and loan officers are able to sort of manipulate that a little bit more because of the amount of money that you'll potentially be making once you're then a doctor, like 90 years later. But it's a huge thing. I mean, even again, my husband's a teacher. He's back in school. We now have debt for him to get his 6th year, but the only way for him to actually move up in income is to continue to go back to school. So that $25,000 produces maybe like a $5,000 pay increase. And it's like, man, what's my ROI? But it takes,
certainly for him, it's a career position. You're factoring in happiness within the career, and there's
happiness.
Meaning, like, okay, I want to move up.
Yes.
And in that system, if you're a teacher, if you're an attorney, if you're whatever, to get certain rankings and all this stuff, you need it. You need the piece of paper.
Yeah.
Coming into this
world.
Is
it still worth it?
You don't need it.
Yeah, it's worth it. In this situation, it's worth it. But it's a hard one. But again, you're putting a lot of other things potentially on hold. And obviously people, and it's a hard one too, because you always like, you work to like buy a house, to then have a family, to then work, to then like
for
support.
the teachers, like it's a tough situation that they're in giving kids advice. Like the system that they're operating in from the top down is broken. So they tend to lean towards like every kid should go to college. Now, not every teacher is doing that, but there are teachers that just default to that. Like, got to get this ready to go to college because that's a system that's always been in place. Like, got to have, what is the thing called? Your SATs? Got to have your SATs because you got to go get into college. So
there's many thoughts, though. So my father, though, was the head of the HR department at an insurance company. And regardless of what the person came out with, though, as a degree, he actually appreciated the fact that he saw someone that came out of college. I'm just being devil's advocate here, because he saw that they were able to, like, commit to 4 years and finish.
Right.
But obviously we're talking about debt, not necessarily completion.
But there's ways, like, if there is somebody young that's looking to get into the game and resume build, to your point, there's other ways to hack that. It's called working for free. Hey, I offered X, Y, and Z, and just create a case study. My services for 12 months in exchange for information, education, value, and here's how it went, and boom.
I agree.
That's a commitment.
I went to school. I was actually on the 5. I did a 5, maybe like a 5 in a summer year program.
Yeah, she was probably on a 10-year program.
I mean, I remember some stuff.
I can't even imagine how you were in college. Anyways.
Wow.
Let's get into the rackets.
Yeah, you ready for that?
Because the student loan was a total racket.
Well, yeah.
But now let's get into the real rackets.
We're on.
First one, Facebook. Talked about it last week.
I feel bad for Facebook. I feel like they're everywhere. Although maybe that's working. Maybe that's helping. They're everywhere.
They are everywhere. So
little bastards. Everyone hates them right now.
Is Facebook discriminating / allowing real estate agents to discriminate? Are they allowing it?
Well, but they're not actually. This article, are you gonna pull that schmutz up somewhere?
Yeah.
So the article actually is talking about more of I think it was actually even saying landlords.
Well, they're saying brokers.
Facebook is allowing discrimination, right? So as agents, we are unable to discriminate against. I'm so gonna f this up because we're being filmed, but we can't discriminate
anybody, basically.
Pretty much,
there's nobody we can discriminate against.
It is true. It's true. I mean, there are some things you know that are, but yes,
we are not allowed to discriminate for different reasons.
And they're saying that Facebook is allowing us to discriminate, which is actually a quite interesting topic because we kind of started discussing it a little bit because we do target marketing every day, location, age.
So on Facebook, the ads, the back of the ads, and many of you guys know this, you can select the age group of who you want your ad to go to. You can select the gender. You can select race. You can select a lot of different things on Facebook and then push your advertisement towards that. I would argue that you're doing essentially the same thing when you put into some type of fancy print magazine like we were talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's 250,000 people and they're only going out to people of this certain net worth. I mean, I think that it's called smart marketing. One, you're not going to want to present a piece of marketing and put money behind a first-time home buyer, a listing, say, that's $2 million and someone that's taking out their first-time home buyer FHA loan. Because it's not going to qualify for them to buy a $2 million house.
Well, and how many times, though, does your seller also say to you, like, are you bringing me qualified buyers? Is that a qualified buyer? Was that question asked by a buyer? Like, they're all, like we're being asked by our sellers if these people are actually sort of falling within, what they – because anybody can say, like, that's overpriced. But are they – you know what I mean? Like, are they a qualified expert at saying – that. So anyway, this is a flipping racket. I mean, it's a tough one. I get it, but like
it's a bunch of fair housing organizations that are accusing
they're actually
Facebook
suing
of
them.
doing
I
this.
believe they've taken it a step further and they're going
after Facebook. There's a New York-based Fair Housing Justice Center, which is part of the lawsuit. Here's my. You think it's a racket?
Gosh, I feel like I'd get in trouble. Am I getting in trouble now?
I don't think you're getting in trouble. I think it is a racket.
I think it's a total racket. I get it. Again, I hear you. I hear your It's mostly about renters. I think that these people put in a fake ad for targeting renters and trying to get away. Because, again, some landlords, I think, don't want to have to put in handicap ramps and, like, things of that nature. So I think they were sort of – I get it. Like, I feel horrible. I think it's probably a really bad thing if a landlord is really doing that. But holy fook, if you're going to go after Facebook for that, I mean, what's going to happen?
They're an easy blame. What's the next racket? What do you got?
So the next one, you ready for it?
I'm waiting. I'm ready.
People who are always late are more successful and live longer. Holla.
Racket.
I disagree. I think it's beautifully written. It actually, it's based on science. Says science.
On science. What kind of science? Do you know what kind of science? Since it was so beautifully written.
It's great. So it's talking about the fact that people that – so I don't show up
she showed up late today.
That was different.
Oh, that one was different.
I had like a home inspection and there was an accident on the highway because of the snow. It wasn't late. I was here. So this one's – I actually –
it was a different excuse though.
So fine. You can call it a racket.
I think it's a racket.
I don't think it's a racket at all.
Well –
it's talking about, you know, people that are late are a little bit more enthusiastic. They're actually like they're not so stressed out. I mean, if you're
it's just like, man, I don't care. What time am I supposed to be?
I keep things pretty.
Screw it.
That's not me.
No, that's not you. I think that there's something to it. Meaning, I always say the statement: artists make the most money. People that are free and are not bogging their mind down with all of like the little petty things. I think that's totally people like that are less stressful and are I guess showing up late, are just living a freer life, which means, you know, hopefully on the you know, the overall macro, they're not getting caught up on the little stressful stuff that's just not important every single day.
Right.
And so I think to that point they can be healthier and more successful and live longer.
Yeah, well, I think that, you know, we're able to maybe live in the moment a little bit longer, which then makes us a little bit later for our next appointment.
But as a blanket statement, that's a total racket. Certainly being on time is a valuable skill set.
Yeah, I guess I feel like as long as we manage expectation, you know, like, oh, it's Nicole, like give her 10 minutes, you know?
Or just schedule her half hour after what you tell her. She says? What you tell her.
Wow. Is that what you're doing?
Well, we have a huge window here for the real word.
That would be a racket.
It's a racket. All right, it's April.
It is April. Well, and
did you realize?
Speaking of stress less.
Yeah. Did you realize that April is your stress awareness month?
I mean, that's a flippin' racket. So I'm an April baby. Byron thinks that April should just pretty much vanish from the calendar.
It's a throwaway month. Nobody cares.
Which is why we're taking April off. So Byron and I will be sitting here next to each other once a week. But beyond that, I mean, I feel like we're breaking up for the month if you really think it's a throwaway month. You think it's a throwaway month?
It's definitely a throwaway month.
I don't know. You're pushing this whole, like, it's Q2. Like, April,
it's a great month.
April, it's a fabulous month. It's Nicole's birthday
No. I'm
month.
talking overall. People see this as a throwaway month. It's winter's over. They're getting in. You know, they're not really focused on what's happening in April. They're trying to get to the summer. The whole point of this being like stress awareness month, or like, you know,
I think that's a racket. I mean,
every single day, if you look up, like,
yesterday
what is
was
today?
Donut day. The day
Spoon
before
day,
that, fork day.
It's ridiculous. Every day has a day now. That's what pisses me off.
And now if you weren't stressed enough, you have to make sure that you're not too stressed during Stress Awareness Month.
This article that we're linking up is not even worth reading, but if you're interested in clicking on it.
But it's actually a way to make your home more peaceful. I mean,
the
only way to do that, get rid of my children, like get rid of my laundry for shizzle. And then they were talking about it before about, you know, drinking and like that's so now this month we're also not drinking. I mean, April,
that's a racket.
Maybe April does need to be a throwaway month. We'll just so April 6th will be my birthday, and then the 7th.
One of the 5 things they tell you to do at home is put the tech away.
Oh.
That's a complete racket. What else do you do at home?
What do you do at home? Such a racket.
Put the tech away.
I mean, oh, look, the next one is take a break.
Take a break. Right, Jesus Christ.
All right, so the fact that it's stressful awareness, I'm not stressed anymore month, that's a racket.
Get your spring clean and done. Get the clutter out of your head and stress less in April. You should stress less every single day.
Take a break. I mean, or show up late. Maybe that's the way. Show up late, right?
Show up late. Nicole White
But
has
don't tell
given
Facebook,
you.
because then they'll come after you.
She's given you permission to show up late for the entire month of April.
I'll give you a note. Tell them it's my birthday.
She'll give you a note and it'll say, "Hey, just living the racket life." All right, we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Peace.